Hello everybody, Tom Cosm here. I'm making this video today to give you a run through of the Ambitron, which is the machine you're looking at now. Okay, so the Ambitron is an online collaborative musical game where any amount of people can control the sequences and the sound and all the other aspects of the music via chat commands in a chat room while this machine is being streamed to everyone at once. So everybody hears the same thing in real time, but everybody can contribute in their own way in real time. And the reason I'm making this video today is tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. AEDT, I want to run this and see how many people we can get actually working on it. See if we can set some kind of record for the most people real-time collaborating online at one stage. So I'll put the time zones down in the description. I'll also put a link to where it's going to be streaming and the event page. But if you're around tomorrow night, I really want you to get involved with this. It's going to be a lot of fun, highly experimental. We've had it running with about 30 people and it's been amazing, but I want to see what it's like when we get hundreds. So if you could spread the word, that'd be great. So I'm going to give you a run through of how it works. There's a whole bunch of different areas in the Ambitron. Don't pay attention to this little kind of game looking thing here. We're currently working on that right now, and hopefully that'll be ready by tomorrow night. But how it works is I'm just going to open up my chat room here. So I've just got MIRC, which I've actually paid for, funnily enough. Ha! How about that? And but when you watch this on Twitch, you can just type in the chat room and the Ambitron scans the chat room, and whenever it recognizes a certain command, it will change the music accordingly. And there's a whole bunch of different commands, and I'm just going to go through them with you right now. So over on the right hand side, you see we have all these kind of effects, or the kind of elements that have circles around the edges, and what these are, the kind of atmospheric noise effects. So quite cool. So for example, here's the rain, which is the very first one. I can type rain 10, and you'll notice that the rain is now moving up to 10. So it's changing the volume of the rain to 10. Now you'll also notice there's a green circle as well. The green circle is the intensity. So if I type rain intensity 0, you'll see the intensity goes down. And what the intensity does is it kind of makes the sound busier. If I have a quick look over in Ableton Live here where it's all running, you'll see we've got all of the different effects tracks running here, and each effects track has a audio rack with kind of different levels of the sound or the intensity. So in the rain track, I've got 4 different samples, and as the intensity moves the slider up, it adds more rain, so it can get quite rainy and stormy. Back to the Ambitron here. So as an example, let's make the rain intensity 7, and we can also add some wind. So I just type wind and then 8, and you'll see that the wind is now jumping up to 8. So we're getting a bit of a storm kind of thing going on. And you can add and mix any of these elements that you like. We could add some insects, so insects 10. And we can make the insects more intense as well, so insects intensity 10. Very good. Now the other thing you can do with these effects is they also have a pan, a pitch, a delay, and a reverb. So for example, I'm going to bring this bowl in here, which is a kind of a singing bowl. So I'm going to go, let's get rid of the rain first. Rain 0, wind 0, 0. We'll leave the bugs because that's kind of cool. And I'm going to bring the bowl in, and let's make the bowl 8. Very good. Now if I type bowl pan 0, you'll see how it pans it all the way to the left. And if I type bowl pan 10, it goes over to the other side. So let's put it back in the middle. I'm going to go bowl delay 0 and bowl reverb 0. So I'm going to bring the delay and the reverb down, and you'll see that these two guys should go down. Whoops. Bowl. Yeah. So these two guys have now gone down. And let's say I will give it some reverb, so bowl, I'll give it some delay 10, and then let's go bowl pitch 10, and then bowl pitch 0. Very good, and now I'm going to bring the bowl out by typing bowl 0. So that's kind of the gist of the effects area, and these are a lot of fun. If you're not too sure what you're doing with the sequences, which I'll get into next, this area is good fun for people. You can create really in-depth soundscapes with these. It's quite a lot of fun. And yeah, so let's move over onto the next part. So we've got an area down here. You might notice that this particular thing here, this is an info panel. This will be cycling information about how to use the Ambitron when it's running. We've just got some levels and stuff here. There's also a BPM change, which I'll get into in a minute, and there is the latest command. So this is the latest command that somebody's made, and then it has a little kind of display panel here which shows you what it's currently doing to the sound. Now you'll notice that we have 4 sequences here, a melody, a pads, a drums, and a bass. And these all have independent sequences, step sequences, which you can add and subtract notes and do all kinds of really interesting things with. So for example, I want to add a note on the first beat of the melody sequencer. So to do that, the formula is I type melody, because I want to change the melody. I need to type what element of the melody I want to change, and I want to change the volume or the velocity, so I'm going to type V. That means how loud a note is, because at the moment all the notes have 0 volume, but if I type V and then I pick a step that I want to change, which is step 1, and then I type a value of what I want that velocity to be on step 1, and I'm going to type 127, which is the maximum value. So as I type that, you notice that this one step now has a solid note in it, and it's playing C3 by default, which is what we want. And it's playing a piano sound by default, but we can change the sound, which I'll get into in a minute. So let's say I want to add another note on step number 5. So I'm going to type melody V step 5, and we'll make this 110. And now 5 has another note as well. But I want to change the pitch of that 5 note, so I'm going to type melody, and then I'm going to type P, because this is to change the pitch. So melody, pitch, step 5, and let's make this a, let's make it a D sharp 3. Okay, that didn't work as planned. Let's try a different note. I think I need to use flats, so let's go C5. Or we'll go C5 up high. Very good. So let's add one more note in the melody. So melody V, we'll go 13, and we'll go 127, and let's change melody pitch 13 to, let's try that D sharp again. I did the syntax wrong before. D sharp 3. So there we go. So now we've got a little minor melody going on. Okay, now let's move over to the pads. So I'm going to go pads, velocity, we'll go for step number 7, and we'll make that 127. And we can go pads, pitch, 7, and let's make this a C1, so a low note. Now we can also change the duration of the note, so I'm going to go pads D for duration. This is how long the notes are. Pads D, 7. And this is an interesting one. It's numbers like 8, 16, 32, 64. So let's change this to 64, see what happens. Okay, so you see the length is extended out for 1 beat. So 64 is 1 beat. So if I change that to 128, you'll see it'll extend out over 2 beats. Now with the drums are similar. You can change the pitch with the note value, and that will change the sample that's played, but you can also just type a number between 0 and 127 to choose a new drum sample. So let's go drums V1, and we'll just go 127. So that's going to add a drum beat at the start. I'm not sure what the drum sound is for now. Let's have a quick listen. Okay, so that's not a very good sound, so I'm going to go drums P to change the pitch, step 1, and let's just type in, say, 12. So that's going to change the note to C-1, which will play a different sample. Let's change that to 8 instead. See if we can get a kick drum. I think there's a kick in the lower ranges. We'll change it to 1. Very good, so let's go drums V5 127, and we'll go drums V9 127, and we'll go drums V13 127. So just a real simple beat. And we need to change the pitch of 9, drums P9 back to 1, And let's change 5 and 13 to some kind of snare sound. So we had one just before, so let's go drums, P, 5, 12. And we'll also do drums, P, 13, 12 as well. Very good, and of course with the bass we can do exactly the same. So let's just put bass V3 127. See how that sounds? So we need to change the bass pitch of 3 down to something quite low. Let's go C -1. That's too low. We'll go C 0. Very good. Let's do one more bass. Bass V11 127, and we'll go bass pitch 11 D sharp 0, and we'll change the bass, the duration of that note, D11 to 128. Let's add in a cat pairing. So I'm going to go cat 10 to bring the volume of the cat up, and bring the cat intensity down because it's already up quite high. Maybe a little bit of rain. So there you go. Now the other things you can do with the sequences is you can change the sound. So there's a whole range of sounds for the melody, the pads, and the bass. So I'm going to go melody, and then I'm going to type sound, and I'm going to pick a number between 0 and 127. Let's go for 12, see how that sounds. And let's go pads sound 54. Now I did say there was a BPM option over here, so what happens with the BPM is I type a number, I type BPM, sorry, and then a number that I'd like. So let's go BPM, let's make it 60. So you can see the BPM now is slowly creeping up to 60. And also what happens is when you change the BPM, a countdown timer begins. That's just so people don't change the BPM all the time. So you have to wait 6 minutes or whatever for that to actually happen. So that's the sequencer side of things. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit because I'm worried about it feeding back in the mic. Now there's two other interesting functions of the Ambitron that you can use. If you're not really comfortable changing anything to do with the music, there is something called a soundboard, and the soundboard simply plays one of many hundreds of samples that in time to one of the beats of the music, and you can trigger a soundboard by typing soundboard and then just pick a number. So let's go soundboard 76, see what happens. Let's try another one. So this is the soundboard happening over here. Let's try another one. Back to the Ambitron. Let's try soundboard 23. So at the moment the soundboard has a lot of reverb and effects on it, but these can also be changed within the Ambitron. I'm not going to tell you how to do all the real technical deep stuff. If you come on the night, you'll pick it up really quickly because there's some regulars who are pretty good at operating this by now. And the final thing that you can do in the Ambitron, which is the really crazy function, is you can actually open up a link in your web browser that will be provided on the night. So you simply just click the link, it opens up in your web browser, you allow the web browser to listen to your microphone, and then you can speak directly into the Ambitron from your computer. So it will listen to everybody's microphones, and anybody who says something or plays something or does something weird in their microphone, it'll get fed into the Ambitron, glitch it out, like it's all ambient kind of stuff, so it'll really delay it and twist it up, but you can actually real time talk into the Ambitron and hear what it sounds like. So that's going to be pretty cool on the night. Yeah, I think that's about it. There's a bunch of hidden commands as well. You'll probably pick those up once you're in the chat room and see what's going on. You can do other weird stuff. You can do things like randomize, you can reset stuff, you can extend the amount of steps in a sequence. It's quite comprehensive, and this little guy here we're working on at the moment, the whole concept of this is it's a little game with a ball falling down, and depending on what's happening in the music or within the effects in the Ambitron, the ball takes different paths, random paths, and when it reaches the bottom it does something even weirder to the music. So that's the Ambitron in a nutshell. I hope you guys think it's pretty cool. I think it's really cool. I've had so much fun building this, and please do join me tomorrow night if you're free. Grab a drink and we'll have a lot of fun, see how many people we can get and what kind of music we can make. Cheers.